Complaints or reports. This is a letter that's going to be delivered to Brian Moran that I have a copy that I can give to you.
You want to give your name?
My name's Freeda Cathcart. Do you want me to spell it or? Okay. All right. So it's from the people of Virginia, and there are actions happening all across the state today. There's one happening in Charlottesville, Richmond, Northern Virginia, and there should be one tomorrow, Friday, in the Hampton Roads area. And it says, "Dear Secretary Moran, the people are very concerned about the excessive police force at last Friday's State Water Control Board meeting. Friday was a traumatizing day, especially for the people from Southwest Virginia who traveled many hours to attend the meeting, not only because the State Water Control Board did not allow public comment, but when the meeting was adjourned, the police swept the room like a janitor sweeping out the trash after a movie. The police even swept a State Water Control Board member and Delegate Chris Hurst out of the room, out of the hotel, and out into the cold rain of the parking lot. Unfortunately, the people from Southwest Virginia who have been on the front lines have been experiencing police intimidation for a year now. The Forest Service spent close to $500,000 on excessive law enforcement at the monopod and tree sits in the Jefferson National Forest. Roanoke County spent $90,000 on excessive police force when they surrounded Red Terry's tree stand. At this past Friday's State Water Control Board meeting, the police tried to throw a woman from Craig County out into the cold rain without a jacket. She had voluntarily left the meeting after she made an outburst, and she had nowhere to go because she had received a ride to get there. How much did Friday's excessive police action cost the taxpayers? Who was responsible for ordering so many police officers and for their behavior? Was this an action by the Virginia Fusion Center? Which department paid for it? DEQ claims they can't afford to send more than 2 inspectors to supervise the Mountain Valley Pipeline, leaving Southwest Virginia exposed to hundreds of violations. Virginia seems to be losing our humanity. Could you please investigate this matter and release the answers to our questions in a statement? The people deserve to feel safe and respected when they attend a state board meeting. Thank you for your attention to this important matter. We look forward to learning the answers to our questions." Signed, the people of Virginia. And on Facebook last night, there was somebody from Chesterfield County that said that the Chesterfield police sent 2 armored vehicles there that came at the end of the State Water Control Board meeting with SWAT teams. So that's Chesterfield County tax dollars. I guess they're playing games with their equipment and intimidating people that don't need to feel like we're in a war zone.
Any photos of those vehicles?
No, I'm just trying to find out, did anybody take photographs, and so far I haven't gotten a response. But when people see something like that, they're so shocked. That's what happened at the State Air Control Board meeting. There was a large police presence there, and I asked for photographs and stuff, and people said they were so shocked they didn't take them, and that's one of the reasons. I knew there wasn't going to be public comments, but that's one of the reasons I drove to Richmond on Friday, was to record what happened and make sure that we had a record about what happened. And there's 2 different videos with the general manager. If the one you watched, was he outside or was it inside where you could?
I think he was outside.
Okay, there's one inside where he was shy. He wouldn't get in front of the camera, so you can hear his voice. And his voice says that they're open to the public and they appreciate people's business. The police tried to tell us that the hotel was telling them to kick us out, but the general manager of the hotel said that no, he was fine with us being there.
The video from David Martin.
The video from David Martin was the one with the line of the police officers moving the chairs and kicking out the State Water Control Board member James Lofton and Delegate Chris Hurst.
Yeah.
And when I went back afterwards, because I didn't have my jacket, I'd left it there, and when I went back in, Director David Paler was in there with a group of people, and he was just like laughing, and so they didn't move them out.
So there's something wrong here is what we're saying.
Yeah.
There's something terribly wrong where Mountain Valley Pipeline, David Paler, seem to be coming into the Mountain Valley Pipeline right away. They're showing the Water Control Board members little fixes, little problems that they've fixed. And isn't this nice? Now go vote yes that we can carry on. But the truth of the matter is that we get videos daily from West Virginia and from Virginia, citizen monitors who are filming all this muddy water, filming the pipes, open-ended pipes sitting in water. It's a mess. And Mountain Valley Pipeline really needs to be expunged from Virginia.
Well, when Director David Paler accused the State Water Control Board member of being for the opposition, that's when he should have lost his job.
He should have lost his job.
That is inappropriate. And he was accusing the volunteer citizen monitors of lying, and
Yeah.
they have downloaded apps where it's date stamped with GIS codes so that it proves that
It's real.
what they're seeing, the actual date and time, and where it's located. So, like, you don't have to take their word, they have documentation. So much documentation that the Environmental Protection Agency has launched a criminal investigation of the Mountain Valley Pipeline. And just last week, a New York law firm is now investigating them for
Securities
for lying to their shareholders and securities fraud. And there's a shareholder alert out there. So we have proof of government and also a law firm investigating Mountain Valley Pipeline for criminal behavior. And Nan and Ed and Tom and Tina, they're the ones that are volunteering to go out in all sorts of weather. Tina, you're the one who recorded them. Were you the one who did the one when they were working like 11 o'clock at
11
night?
o'clock at night in the snow at temperatures that were like 30 degrees, 28 degrees, with really bright lights up on Fort Lewis Mountain. They were working, trying to get pipe in the ground, I suppose, before they're.
That's another issue, is they've got very problem-prone soils. They should be using Class 5 pipe, which is the highest, strongest, toughest pipe. And they're not. They're putting Class 2 pipe because they happen to buy Class 2 pipe. Now, if you're gonna put Class 5 pipe in any one place, anything you attach to it is gonna be a weak point. So therefore, the whole route ought to be the highest quality, strongest pipe. They didn't buy that.
Yeah, they're not.
So they're putting it in the ground just as fast as they can. We have photographs of pipe that's written on it, rejected, and then before it goes in the pipe, and then we see that same pipe photographed again, rejected, while it's in the trench. That's inexcusable. There's so much more here than Mountain Valley Pipeline wants us to know about.
And the example of Fort Lewis and other times when they've been working after dark, part of their FERC certificate, and we have confirmation of this, they're not allowed to work when it's not the daylight. They're not allowed to do that. So that's a violation. And the other thing is that we noticed recently is their reports, Mountain Valley Pipeline, to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, says like segment I is 100% complete, which is where Four Corners Farm is. And they filed a report saying that their farm, the pipe wasn't in the ground, wasn't welded, that was 100% complete. So that, again, is misleading the public, misleading their shareholders, misleading a federal agency. They're lying to a federal agency. So we're really frustrated when it comes to law enforcement, why they haven't stopped work now. And we're asking for Attorney General Mark Herring to file an emergency injunctive relief to tell them to stop work now. Because whether you think that there should be a pipeline or there shouldn't be a pipeline, these people are acting negligently, like criminally negligent and incompetent, and they need to stop. It's like it's not the car's fault if somebody's drunk and running off the road. Somebody needs to tell them to stop. This is what we're experiencing with this pipeline construction, is they aren't obeying the law. They're not doing it right. Even whether you believe in pipelines or not, they're not doing it right.
So the pipeline they're putting in the ground is the wrong class, and then they don't want to have us know anything about it. We're not supposed to be able to look up the Pipeline and Hazardous Safety Materials Administration. Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety. Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. That's what it is.
And,
Cynthia,
be-
can
and,
I
be-
try? Well, here, go
and
ahead.
beyond that, the governor said he was assuring the people of Virginia that the best science would be used. We have soil scientists. I'm a PhD civil engineering hydrologist, and I submitted, along with a lot of other people, stream by stream reports, comments back in May, which DEQ was supposed to evaluate, make some sort of comment. All they did during the State Water Control Board meeting is mention that they had received them. I received no feedback whatsoever on the reports that I submitted, which were over 300 reports and technical reports. Nothing was acted on those reports at all. And a number of, we have GIS specialists and other scientists, physicians who are involved in this. And we're bringing these things to the State Water Control Board and the Department of Environmental Quality, and our comments are being ignored.
And we're doing it. And unfortunately, for those of us who are scientists, we're not getting paid for this.
No,
We're not
not a
getting
cent.
paid to do Department of Environmental Quality's job.
In fact, we're using a lot of our own money simply
It's all
to
our
do the
own
work,
money.
our own time and money.
You just did a recent analysis about they were trying to say it was historic rainfall, and you
Right.
just did.
Yeah.
What was your conclusions from that?
Well,
I tried to read it and it looked
right.
complicated.
Sorry about that. The point is that Mountain Valley Pipeline, their excuse for so many of the failures of the erosion and sedimentation control measures has been because of historic rainfall in Virginia. And it was in many areas historic rainfall in Virginia. But if you saw that, if that actually was the reason for their problems, then among the things that you should see would be record rainfalls and on shorter time scales, like on a monthly time scale, and also record flooding along the MVP path. My analysis showed there was none of that. In fact, what occurred, except for one location in Bent Mountain area, from a single storm, that for the most part, the rainfall and the flooding that occurred was what you would expect in any given year, every year or two. Nothing that would correlate to record rainfall. And it's because the rainfall rates were persistent, but they weren't that intense, except for a couple instances.
So Governor Northam, would you please stop Mountain Valley Pipeline from destroying any more of our soils, any more of our land? Stop Mountain Valley Pipeline from destroying any more of our water. You know, the Clean Air Act involves protecting air, water, and soil. They are not protecting soil. They don't even know the soil they have along this pipeline route. It's all unsuitable soil. It's mapped that way by the Natural Resource Conservation Service. So for Mountain Valley Pipeline to ignore, and then to ignore the data that's already written in published soil surveys, they don't know how to interpret it, or they're ignoring it. And they're just going on as if all soils are the same. Not all soils are the same.
Yeah. And,
Let's go ahead.
One
Go
quick
ahead,
comment
go ahead.
I just have to make, and that is, all of these concerns about local soil erosion, protection of air and water are all very true. But the single issue that's not getting nearly enough attention is the contribution of these pipelines contributing to global warming. And that's far and away the biggest problem. I did a calculation. If you look at the amount of natural gas that the pipelines are supposed to pass from the ACP and MVP, like 4.5 billion cubic feet per day, that would rank on an annual basis as being like the 25th or 26th largest contribution by a country. That's just
To the
these-
greenhouse gases.
to the greenhouse gases,
Yeah.
just these two pipelines.
Because they're so
That's
big.
One question, if I could, on
Yeah.
the issue of excessive force. Are you aware of anyone else other than Nan who has said that they actually had physical contact with state police troopers?
Me,
Yeah.
me. One of the police officers touched me when I was going to get my computer, and I said, "Don't you touch me."
And did you consider that touching to be excessive force?
It was inappropriate.
Was that on video or?
No.
Because Nan, you can see on video, he places his
Yeah,
hand.
no, I was just leaning over. It'd be like my computer was behind you, and I was just going to get it, and he like tried to push me. I was just like, "Don't touch me."
It's
No,
happened at
nobody
other
did
meetings
have that.
too.
Yeah,
There was
that's
a
right.
fellow who left, who was,
Yeah.
they touched him and he shouted out, "Don't touch
Was
me."
it-
He was the first one to be removed.
Right,
Yeah, it was the one meeting where they pushed Jamie.
Jamie, that
Yeah, I
was,
mean, they pushed him.
That was when the chairs
Yeah.
kind of tumbled
Yeah.
over.
I feel like, you know, it's like kindergarten where you teach children like use words. You don't need to push people, you use words. Like what it, like, if he was worried like what I was doing, it's just like I'm getting my computer. Yeah, which he could have stepped aside so I could get my computer. I was trying not to.
If you look at us, do we really look like a bunch of criminals? And, you know, do we look like a
No,
danger
you
to
got sparkles
society?
in that sweater.
We're parents, we're grandparents, we're
Yes.
concerned citizens, you know, we're good neighbors, we're not
That we
criminals.
can see them taking you out.
Yeah, that was, did
Can
you
you
see the
send it to
one that was sent out yesterday, the press release that was sent out yesterday? I sent out one yesterday and one this morning. The one yesterday had the link to that.
Oh, I
So
see.
I'd like us to walk over to the State Border Control Board. We can do this, Cynthia, you want to